AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Luke Foster.
Luke, I am your father.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Lot to get to here in hour number 3. Jimmy will be here for Otterlocks, which are live right now at LouisianaSports.net if you want them. Greg Sankey today spoke about the judge's ruling that would allow the class of 22 an additional year. I've been asked about that a ton. Like, are there players that LSU could potentially be pursuing? Lane Kiffin was asked about it on Monday. Well, Greg Sankey talked about it today. So we're going to get to that here in a smidge as well. And as LSU has a walkthrough today and they continue through fall camp, now a week into fall camp, there's 2 young defenders that are seemingly, according to some conversations I've had with folks within the program, that are really starting to elevate, because that's always one of the questions in camp, right? Like, who's standing out? Who's elevating? Well, there's 2 names I'm going to give you. We're going to do that in about a dozen minutes from right now. But right now, we'll head down to New Orleans, chat with our buddy Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, and Locked On Saints. Ross, how are you, dude?
Hey, man. Doing great. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here with you.
Our pleasure, as always. Okay, tomorrow the Saints start joint practices with Jacksonville. What do they do today?
Yeah, today was a little bit more of a lighter day of work. So they have done, I think, 5, maybe 6 practices straight in pads. This was their first day out of pads. A little bit of a shorter day, but focused a lot more on situational stuff, mostly in plus territory, so beyond the 50, with, of course, more red zone work. The Saints have been consistent about situational work here throughout training camp, so that continued to be their focus today.
Okay, standouts from today. Who made the list?
Yeah, I gotta shout out rookie wide receiver Bryce Lance. It's funny watching the progression of training camp to where Barryon Brown was the star for a few days, and then Jordan Tyson was a star for a few days, and now Bryce Lance has really turned it on over the course of these last couple of days. Now, I will say Bryce has been somebody that has been consistently targeted in making catches all throughout training camp so far. However, it's these last couple of days to where you're starting to see a little bit of the explosive nature that comes with a player that's 6'3" and can run with 4.36 speed. And you saw that today. He had 2 long targets down the left sideline. The first one he actually came down with, but good play by cornerback Isaac Yadam to rip the ball out at the last second as they were going to the ground. The very next possession, Spencer Rattler went right back to him, this time in double coverage in between a couple of safeties, and he was able to pull the ball in for a deep touchdown down that left sideline. So good examples of concentration, but also a really good example of kind of that short-term memory of, all right, I didn't come down with the first one, but I'm definitely coming down with the second one.
You noted in your camp notes, which you can go read over at LouisianaSports.net if you want to get them, that Bryce Lance shined, but so did the defense. So what stood out on the defensive side of the ball today?
Yeah, this has been consistent for the Saints defense. But, I mean, look, Tyler Shuck was held to 2 of 7 passing on the day. Spencer Rattler was held to 3 of 6 passing on the day. And, Zach Wilson had a really nice day, probably his best day of camp from a completion percentage standpoint. But the first and second team defenses were, again, really, really strong up against the first and second team offenses. And I think a lot of this comes down to one of the things that I've spoken to a couple players about is how the Saints defense does a very good job of adjusting. And this has kind of always been one of the Brandon Staley stamps of what's exciting for what it is that he can do and how he elevates players by putting them in position to succeed. These guys will have 6 or 7 different checks that they'll make when they come out in a coverage to match what it is that they feel like is maybe the strength of the offense or where the offense might be going, all these other things. So they've just done a very good job of responding to the looks they're getting from the offense and making some plays out there. A couple of individual standout players today include Kool-Aid McKinstry, who had a couple of great pass breakups throughout the day. Jaden Price, who continues to shine and elevate all throughout. And then I would highlight Carl Granderson again, who has really surged over the course of these last couple of practices. He had an interception in yesterday's practice, dropping back into coverage. He's been taking snaps from the edge as well as moving on the interior and making plays as a pass rusher that way as well. So those guys all had strong days again today.
Ross Jackson's with us, LouisianaSports.net and Locked on Saints. I noticed in the report you highlighted some special teams notes today.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was no kicking today. You had a kicker competition, and they really upped the pressure of that kicking competition. In yesterday's practice, having those guys alternate back and forth with all eyes on them, and then today, no kicking at all. So curious about that decision there, but that was something that they didn't worry about as they moved indoors. They did not go for any field goals all throughout the day. But we did get to see a little bit of kick return, guys that we expect, and it's reflected in the unofficial depth chart at the top of that kick return list. We're back there fielding kick returns, fielding punt returns. We saw that, of course, Barion Brown is kind of the primary guy there. But a rotation of really talented returners back there in terms of Ty Chandler, Jaden Price, again, who is one of the best UFL returners in his one spring season with the team, as well as several others. So the Saints really funneling through a lot of different options there to figure out what their best combination is going to be from a kickoff standpoint.
I want to ask you about one more receiver because I feel like I'm guilty of this, as many people are, but it's like, all right, well, there's Olave and there's Jordan Tyson and now Vele, but Barion Brown's emerged and there's Bryce Lance. We've talked about all of them. Bub Means was a draft pick a year ago.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about him at all. They tend to give the benefit of the doubt to guys they invested a draft pick in, but should we be talking more about Bub Means? Is he doing anything in this camp?
Yeah, he actually had a real good opportunity to get a little bit going his way today with a deep ball down the right sideline from Zach Wilson. Actually, those two have had a really strong connection. But he's had sort of these moments throughout camp, like today, to where ball lands, is very well thrown into the end zone, but he's not able to corral it. Comes down with a drop instead. And so I think if he can start to put together the more consistent pieces to that, things will be a little bit more, people will be a little bit more vocal about him. But I'm really curious to see him in the preseason in particular. He's a gamer big time. And I'm excited actually to watch. One of the duos that I'm excited to watch during the preseason is going to be Zach Wilson and Bub Means. Those two seem to have found some type of really good connection together. And that's one that I think can really, really be showcased a bit more in the opportunities that will come to the preseason, which may be kind of outnumber the opportunities in training camp. And so he's been mostly a third team guy so far. And that's not surprising with the amount of draft picks that have been invested since they drafted him. But a real opportunity here to continue to build some chemistry with a veteran quarterback that can get the ball where it needs to go. And Zach Wilson, another guy that I'll highlight from that same idea, Matt, is Kevin Austin Jr. Kevin Austin Jr. caught his first touchdown last year, was a guy that this team really relied on down the stretch with all the injuries at the position. And he's somebody that I'm really intrigued to see, because if there's any conversation around keeping a 6-wide receiver, the conversation is going to be between guys like Kevin Austin Jr., Bub Means, as well as Ronnie Bell, in my opinion. And so very excited to see those guys get some more opportunity and exposure during the preseason.
Ross Jackson, hey, before you go, joint practices, I'm always like, the thing I always hope for in joint practices is like, just don't get hurt and don't get in fights.
For real.
What do you want to see in the joint practices with Jacksonville starting tomorrow?
Yeah, don't get hurt, don't get into a fight. Those are really
there we go. That's good. That's good. Yep, there we go.
Those are really good ones. I think the biggest thing is just I want to see guys that have continued to stand out, or that have been standing out throughout camp, continue to stand out against unfamiliar opponents. I mean, look, a guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's had a really strong camp, now gets to go up against Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter tomorrow. That's a good measure for him. A guy like Chase Young gets to go up against and Carl Granderson. Those guys get to go up against a new offensive line tomorrow. That's a good opportunity for them. Yeah, look, I've always been somebody I've kind of always been a little bit of a Scrooge about joint practices. They're not my favorite because I think that they're being used to replace preseason action when nothing replaces live football. And so I think teams are losing opportunities to get their players ready for the season by using joint practices instead of preseason games where you can actually build off a game flow and all these other things. You're losing all that opportunity. But there's something valuable about guaranteeing red zone possessions, guaranteeing third down possessions, guaranteeing going in situations, backed up situations. All that. You can work the situations you specifically want to work. But I think the biggest thing for me is exactly as you said. Don't get hurt. Don't get into a fight. And then see these guys that have been standouts continue to stand out and get unfamiliar faces.
Say, bro, Bub Means ain't making this team. Come on. And neither is Kevin Austin.
I look, if they were to keep a 6, he would be in the conversation considering the amount of target volume. But I would certainly put guys like Kevin Austin Jr. and Ronnie Bell up there ahead. Maybe you're looking for practice squad spots in terms of these guys battling for right now. But, preseason would be an opportunity for him. If he's going to get it, it has to happen there.
They're going to keep a 6th receiver?
I don't think so anymore. Like, my general opinion is that only would have been a thing in terms of the investment that they made in Jalen Polk. Now, if the Saints are going to keep a 6 wide receiver, it's because a receiver convinces them to do so. I don't foresee anybody doing that. And so for me, it's about practice squad beyond those top 5 guys, the 3 draft picks, Chris Olave and Devon Bailey.
The only one that I remember, and you tell me if one comes to mind, but Courtney Roby was a receiver, but he made the team as your special teams guy. He returned kicks, and he was your gunner. So he was a receiver, but he made the team because of special teams. Like if Barryon Brown was only making the team as a return specialist, well, that could be a 6. But clear he's making this as not just a returner. He's making this team because he's doing great.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think, because Barryon Brown is making the roster because of his return ability, that leaves space for a 6 wide receiver. I think they've disproven that with the way that they've utilized Rashid Shaheed over the course of the previous years before they traded him away. They had no problem going in with a smaller wide receiver room, including him, even though he was a returner. So I don't think that that just because Barryon Brown, I'm with you. I don't think that just because Barryon Brown has return ability means that they're going to look to keep a 6 wide receiver. It would have to be somebody in addition convincing them to do so. And as of right now, I'm not foreseeing that. I think anything that you get from that value from these other guys is going to come from having them on the practice squad as well.
He's at Ross Jackson Nola. Y'all go give him a follow when the Saints are on the practice field. He joins us for a report. Of course, you can read his report at louisianasports.net, or you can listen or watch Locked on Saints. Go get subscribed. Thanks, dude.
Thank you, bud. You take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
I mean, be well. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Tell you every day, name brand tires, wholesale prices. That's what they do. They keep you coming back because they treat you like family. It's Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. Been around since 1968. I only point out the year just because when you think about it, they're 2 years shy of 60 years in business. I remember celebrating their 50th. Well, it's been 8 years now, but I pointed out just because if you've been around for that long, like you've been around for 60 years. You don't stick around that long unless you're doing something really well. And that's Shawbills. They treat you like family, and they sell you the best tires at the cheapest price. These aren't your discount tires. It's BF Goodrich and Bridgestone and Firestone and Toyo, and it's the best tires on the road. Michelin. And they're going to give them to you at the best price, but they're going to keep you coming back because they treat you like family. So you're going to get lifetime value out of you being a customer because they're going to treat you great. I'm in that number, and you will be as well. When you go to Shawbills once, you'll get it. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. It's Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, let me knock out a quick break. Thanks for hanging out with us here. By the way, hat tip, Hunt has this over at louisianasports.net. LSU baseball signee Luke Tucker is headed to JUCO. So not a big surprise. That's something we knew. He enrolled, completed summer school at LSU, but he'll spend a year at McLennan JUCO in Waco. Prior to a planned return to LSU. So this is a guy who looked very likely was not going to get on the field with the way that LSU recruited the infield and who they returned. So he's a big left-handed hitting third baseman. So have the opportunity to go play JUCO and then come back next year and have an opportunity maybe to go win a job. So Luke Tucker will not play at LSU this year for the baseball Tigers. He'll go to JUCO and then be back in a season. That's the plan anyway. But as they say, the best laid plans of mice and men, as you know the rest. All right, it's After Further Review. Hump Day Show is brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Quick break. We'll come back. I want to tell you about 2 young LSU defenders that are seemingly rising up the depth chart. I'll empty my notebook for you next on AFR.
After further review.
All right, if you're a deer hunter, it's time. They got buck busters over at Clegg's Nursery. Get them by any of the 4 locations: Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. They will have Mobucks and deer corn in soon, but Buckbusters is always the first to arrive, and they got it right now over at Clegg's Nursery. As a matter of fact, let me correct myself. Okay, 6 out. This is why I always tell you to go to their Facebook page. 6 hours ago, they just posted they got Mobucks now in as well. So they got Buckbusters and Mobucks at Clegg's, all 4 locations right now. You're ready to go set those plots. Get ready to bag that trophy buck. Start at Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 locations. It's time, y'all. Hunting season's almost here. Get prepped up for it over at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you. Clegg's Nursery.
Guaranty Health Solutions is guiding healthcare forward, partnering with healthcare organizations nationwide to elevate patient.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Man, I'm excited tonight, man. After the show, going to pop on over to Supper Club. Going to have dinner with Bryant and Doug Bocock, my buddies from Bocock Brothers Premium Cigars. I think maybe tomorrow, if not tomorrow, maybe Friday, I'm going to get to unveil their new LSU box. Y'all, all I'm going to say is, like, even if you don't smoke cigars, like, you're going to love this. I saw it today. They did an awesome job with the football box. They're awesome, by the way. They're LSU guys, LSU alums. The cigars are Honduran tobacco, and they have done an amazing job just hustling to go get collegiate licenses. And the first one they got was LSU, and after getting the LSU license, they've added, I don't know, 20, 30 more schools. So they have these officially licensed cigars for all these schools. Anyway, I'm really fired up. I saw the box today. They're going to give me one to be able to unwrap and unbox and unveil here on the show. I'm excited about it. But if you want to go like pre-order or get notified when they go live, you can go to their website. I think it's bocockbrothers.com. Spell it out. bocockbrothers.com. You can put your email address in there, and you'll be notified whenever the box goes live. Remember, you can use the code MATT15. That's my name, Matt15, 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 to get 15% off your order. I'm telling you, this is one of those things where even if you don't smoke cigars, you're going to want to keep the box like in your office, in your home as a display piece. And people come over that do hand them a cigar, clients, customers, friends, whatever. Save it for a special occasion. If you want to light a cigar on a special occasion, or if you're like me and you do like to smoke a cigar, you'll have, and this is, by the way, this is their new Maduro blend. I'm excited about it. So anyway, going to have dinner at Supper Club tonight, my buddies from Bocock Brothers. But we're going to unveil the new LSU box. Like, I'm just telling you, wait until you see it. You're going to be blown away. It's a next level kind of thing. It's awesome. Anyway, I'll tell you more when I can. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. So when we go out to LSU football practice, we get our customary, 15, 18 minutes. It's 3 periods, 5 to 6 minutes per period. So we're out there for 15 to 18 minutes, somewhere in there. And we don't get to see any team periods like we did in the spring. I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful for whatever access we get, because college coaches do not have to give any access to media. They don't. Like in the NFL, it's in the collective bargaining agreement that like coaches and players have to do interviews and there has to be media access and so on. It's not like that in college. They don't have to let you in at all. So I'm grateful for whatever we get, even the little bit that we get. So, but a lot of times what it forces us to do is have to rely on people who are there. And listen, when you look at an LSU football practice, there's like 200 people out there. When you include players and coaches and support staff members and trainers and sports information and NFL scouts and boosters and agents, and like there's family members. I mean, there's 200 people out there, maybe more. And so it's not hard to find people who see more than we do. And sometimes they'll tell you what they saw, which is really helpful. And so then when you start to, like, call on all these people, then you can kind of piece together, okay, what 3, 4, 5 people are all saying the same thing independent of one another, and that's how you put the piece of the puzzle together. So, and I will tell you, there's a couple of guys on defense that very clearly are starting to elevate. And one of them, maybe this will surprise you, maybe it won't, but one of them is at linebacker, and it's Zach Weeks. I think linebacker, this is just my opinion, and you can disagree. It's totally fine if you do. I'm just telling you my opinion, is that linebacker is the deepest position on LSU's team this year. And I feel that way because you have the elite level front end guys. TJ Dottery led the SEC in tackles a year ago. Whit Weeks was a preseason All-American a year ago, was second in the SEC in tackles 2 years ago. Devon Keys was third in the SEC in tackles last year. So you got the skins on the wall. And then every one of your linebackers from last year returned. Everybody. The only exception is West Weeks, who graduated. So he's out of eligibility. But everyone who had eligibility, all of them returned. Charles Ross, Keelan Moses, Tylen Singleton, everybody. Jaden Breaker, who's now playing edge, but they all returned. So you have your elite level front end guys. You've got your experienced depth, and you got really talented young guys. I mean, I think that's your best position group. Best, deepest position group on the team. And it's interesting because you look at those first three and then go, okay, well, like, who's next in that rotation? And the obvious answer would be like Tylen Singleton, who came in the same class as Devon Keys, and those two had kind of been paired and partnered. Now, Keys has certainly taken a big step up a year ago with Witt's injury, played a bunch, and had a really very productive season. But everything I've been told, y'all, is Zach Weeks is coming. And the most interesting thing about Zach Weeks, y'all, is, remember, he was a reclass. So Zach Weeks should right now only be entering his freshman season in college, but instead he's entering his second year with the Tigers. And he reclassed last year so that West, Witt, and Zach could all be on the team together for 1 year. Remember, in 2024, West could have returned but chose not to play a fifth game so that he could use his fifth year and take his red shirt. Because he played as a true freshman at Virginia, then came to LSU. But he chose not to return from injury so he could redshirt, Zach reclass so they could all play together. And we got to see him do that in that game against Western Kentucky last year, which was really cool. But with Zach, what you hear talking to people in the program is that at the same point in their careers, Zach is the furthest along. Meaning, like, at this point at 18 or whatever, right? At this age, Zach is further along. So think of where Witt was going into his freshman season at LSU. And Witt was a productive player as a freshman when he got on the field in 23. But Zach right now, I mean, Zach Weeks is listed at, they got him at 6'3", 230 pounds. He's as a redshirt freshman, but he is bigger than Witt, and they think he is already more developed at this point, right, as a guy at 18 than Witt was at this point. And the ceiling is pretty obvious that it is super high with Zach. And I think sounds like he's the fourth linebacker right now, which is pretty exciting for the future. And then the other question is, like, who's the fourth corner? And that's a big question about depth, because remember, when Aiden Anding got hurt, they tried to go JUCO, because there's no spring portal window. So they tried to go JUCO to find depth at corner, because you've got Pickett Woodland and then Jakeem Jackson, who's a former top 10 cornerback in the country when he signed with Florida, and Corey Raymond, and followed him here. So those three are set, but who's next? Like, that would have been Aiden Anding. Well, Anding's out for the year with the Achilles. So then it's like, well, is it Haven Finney, who's a reclass? Is it Michael Turner? Is it someone like Traylon James, who transferred in from Southern, who was a safety at Southern, but transferred in, played corner in the spring, and now is back at safety? Like, who's the next guy? Is it Craig Walton, who's been in the program for 4 years? Well, what I understand is that Michael Turner is the one that's made that move. Now, Turner wears 21. When we saw him last Thursday, he was in a gold no contact jersey. He is not. He's back in purple, so he's not in the gold no contact jersey anymore. But Michael Turner is the one who seems to be elevating as that fourth corner. So God forbid knock on Formica, you don't want any injuries. But if anyone turns an ankle or whoever the next guy up, it seems like Turner is the guy that's kind of elevating right now. A couple of other players that I think are interesting and are having really good camps from what I understand, talking to folks within the program. One of them is Fahim Delane, who seems to have locked down the spot as the number 2 star behind Deshaun Spears. Now, we have seen Delane take first-team reps at safety ahead of Tamarcus Cooley. When they kicked us out yesterday and when they went to the team periods, what I was told is Cooley ran first-team safety. And I do believe that Tamarcus Cooley, with all his experience, 700 snaps a year ago, 4 years in college, like Tamarcus Cooley, going into his 4th year, Tamarcus Cooley is going to be the starting safety. I believe that's how it's going to work. But they've given Jace Thomas and Fahim Delane and Aiden Hall, they've given C.J. Jim Coyley, they've given these guys reps. It sounds like Fahim Delane is next up at star after Deshaun Spears. And I think it's interesting because that is a real illustration of what Blake Baker wants at star. Remember, the first year Blake Baker was here, Major Burns played that role. And Major was more of a downhill player who could kind of help in the run defense and play in the box, but he couldn't turn and cover. And Harold Perkins last year was an athletic guy, but not great against the run and not great in coverage. He's more a guy that was athletic enough to go make plays in space. Deshaun Spears, I think, is what Blake Baker envisions for the star position. Like an athletic safety playing near the line. And that's what Deshaun Spears is, and that's what Fahim Delane is as well. So as you start to think of what that position looks like moving forward, it's probably more in the mold of Deshaun Spears. I think that's what Fahim Delane looks like. The one other guy I'll tell you to keep an eye on is Stacey Gage. And Gage, actually, of all the transfers, outside of Dylan Jones, who, by the way, Dylan Jones, I know we talked about him coming out of spring. It is just so obvious from like everyone I talked to that he is just very clearly the clear-cut number 1 running back. That he's the guy who, even without pads, was the clear-cut number 1 guy. And his strength is his size, his physicality, ability to break tackles and get yards after contact. Like, they're not even doing that yet until they put pads on. And he was already the clear-cut number 1. So I think he's your number 1, and Harlem Berry is right there as like 1A because Berry gives you the dimension none of the other guys do. Just the Harlem Berry is the home run hitter that we all know he is. So those two are going to be your top 2. And then Caden Durham is there, but it sounds like Stacey Gage is pushing Caden Durham to maybe be that number 3 running back. So as they sort of sort through that running back depth chart, now we've gone through this a bunch, and my contention is, the quarterback in the offense under Kiffin is almost always either first or second in rushing attempts, and Sam Levitt's going to be that. I think Dylan Jones will lead the team in rushing attempts, and Levitt will be 2. But I think Harlem Berry may be the guy that leads the team in yards per carry and be the explosive play guy with 100 carries on the season, even if Dylan Jones has 175. So I'm going to be interested to watch how all of that continue and how the running back and rushing rep distribution works itself out. But Stacey Gage is a name a little further down the list worth watching because he's the other of the transfers that seems to be maybe elevating himself a little bit here early in fall camp. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, evamore.com, evamore.com. Stay hydrated, y'all. I mean, it is 93 degrees right now at 5:30 in the afternoon. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you drink Evamore, natural artesian water, a healthier alternative, straight from the source because source matters. It's a natural artesian well on the North Shore Lake Pontchartrain. They built the bottling facility around the well. I mean, when you pull into the facility, you see it immediately there. When you pull through the gate, you'll see the well. They pipe the water out of the well right into the bottle. Never touches air until you uncap it and take that first delicious sip. It's Evamore, EVAMOR, evamore.com, evamore.com. Find Evamore at great local retailers or buy it online at evamore.com, EVAMOR, evamore.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Jimmy will be here for Autolocks in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll find out what we're betting on tonight. Otter's picks are live right now over at louisianasports.net if you want them, so go get them right there. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, I want to update something that Lane Kiffin was asked about on Monday at his press conference and that Greg Sankey discussed today. after the legal wrangling continues to go back and forth with that judge in Colorado who allowed for the class of 22 to have another year. Meanwhile, the NCAA is like, we ain't good with that. They're continuing to push back. So where do things stand? We'll update that next on AFR.
After further review.
Our Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Men, want to remind you about hormone replacement therapy. We talk about it often, and I love that sort of the stigma around HRT has been lifted because this is something that, quite honestly, you or your friends or family members, like, you know someone on HRT. It's just a fact. I've told you I've taken hormone replacement therapy for years. And it started for me after we got back from the hospital. Lived in a hospital with my child for 9 months. Stress has a physical manifestation. It ages you. Well, all of us, there is no exception. Every one of us, as we age, our body produces less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. And sometimes stress can be an accelerator. It was for me. I mean, I had the testosterone of a 70-year-old man when I was in my mid-30s. HRT has been awesome for me. It could be for you as well. A simple blood test lets you know if you're a candidate. So go to yourgoodwood.com, schedule that appointment. Yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
So lawsuits regarding NCAA eligibility continue to be thrown back and forth. Well, Greg Sankey has reaffirmed that the SEC is keeping their rules in place. So remember, the Colorado judge, Charlotte Sweeney, ruled a couple of Fridays ago that members of the class of 2022 get another year of eligibility. The NCAA passed 5 for 5, but starting this coming year. This judge said, the seniors that just graduated, they get it too. Well, that has created this situation where recently graduated student athletes are trying to find their way back into college athletics, and some football players have already announced their intention to rejoin their teams. A day ago, there was a couple of Arizona football starters at Arizona. A couple of starters from Indiana have rejoined. Well, the NCAA has doubled down on their stance, saying they have no plans to allow those student athletes from the class of 2022 to be eligible this year. And so you have the NCAA and counter suing here while the injunction remains in place. So the Judge Sweeney, who ruled that, allowed the injunction. So while the lawsuits keep going back and forth, they're eligible. But if the NCAA ultimately wins, then those players are not eligible. So it's a little ambiguous right now. Lane Kiffin, can you play this one, Luke? Lane Kiffin on Monday was asked about that, those class of 2022 guys who are, if they're pursuing those guys potentially jumping back into college eligibility.
And really what's crazy, you start thinking about these guys.
No. There was another one there. You got it? Yeah.
We look at everything, I think, and so we would be prepared for that, but I don't know what that would mean. You know, you always got to look at who they are and how do they learn your systems and all those things to come that late. I do think, since you asked, that those kids should be able to go anywhere. You know, they haven't been with programs for 7 months, and the programs that they were at, the coaches have changed at a number of them, and they didn't have a portal window. So I do think, her ruling seems like it's headed the right direction on that these kids should, if they get a fifth year, they should be able to go wherever they want, any conference, anywhere, because they didn't have a chance. So, and there's going to be places that don't want them back, because they're full or they don't need that position or there's new coaches there. So it'd be really a shame for anyone to limit these kids to where they could go back to, NCAA or conferences.
So Lane was a little coy there at the beginning where he said, we look at everything. That's all he said, was we look at everything. And then he went into his feeling, his strongly held feeling clearly, that if these players do gain eligibility, they should be able to go anywhere. Because as it stands right now, those players, there's no portal window. So they could only go back to the school where they were. Lane's saying they should be able to go anywhere. A lot of you have asked me what's going on there. And there about specific players. A lot of you asked about Bernard Gooden. We addressed that yesterday. He's not eligible to return. A lot of you have asked about Jack Pyburn. I have asked about Jack Pyburn. He signed a contract I was told he had a 6-figure signing bonus with Tampa Bay. That would mean, according to NCAA rule, he is ineligible to come back. I don't know that, and he is in camp with the Bucs right now. So I would say more likely are there players from other schools who might have the opportunity to return? That would be the bigger question. And I have asked everyone around LSU, and it is very quiet. Mum is the word around there. But the clearest answer I've been given so far is basically it's a 7 to 14 day window, week to 2 week window. Because the closer you get to the start of the season, the less likely it remains that you'd be able to add a player in this circumstance. But if a portal window opens for those class of 22 guys that have another year, I was told they're prepared. LSU is, and this probably isn't any great breaking news. It's Kiffin. He is hyper-focused on the margins, the minutia, the little incremental ways to make his program, his roster potentially better. It's like him talking about the day-night practice thing where he didn't want to give it away because it's a competitive advantage, but they do it and they think it helps them not only through camp or throughout the season. Okay, well, he's got his data and his metrics and things that would point to why that's an advantage. I look at this, and I have no doubt that they have their list. Now, I asked somebody over there, how do you even begin to put together a list? It's 136 Division I schools. How do you, comb through every freaking player who was a class of 22 guy who still has a year of eligibility, who hasn't signed a pro contract, who could come back, and then at whatever positions of need? What I will tell you is the two positions of need that are the most glaring and pretty obvious in this situation. I don't think this will surprise you, but it would be edge rusher and cornerback. Corner's obvious because they were looking for corner help in the JUCO ranks after Aiden Anding's injury, and then they're thin at edge rusher. You've got your first two guys, right? You've got Uman Ellen and Ross. But after that, it's Dylan Carpenter, who's a fourth-year player who's barely played, and a true freshman in Lamar Brown. Damian Shanklin is not currently practicing with the team, as Kiffin said. And then you've got some veteran guys. You've got Kalaj Cobbins hanging around. You brought in Jalen Brown, who's a transfer from South Carolina, but you just don't have any real experience quality depth there. So if they had the opportunity to add a veteran player who'd played a lot of football at that edge spot, they would do that as well. So I don't know that makes you feel any better, but I was told, yes, they're ready. They're prepared if the lawsuits get sorted out within the next week or two. It was 7 to 14 days. If this lawsuits thing gets worked out and a portal window opens, they're prepared. They have their list. They're ready to go. But it remains to be seen if that will happen. But Greg Sankey has said effectively the SEC is holding their rules in place right now as they wait and see what happens with these rulings. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Hancock Whitney, official banking partner of the LSU Tigers and the official banking partner of the New Orleans Saints. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. They gave us our own custom URL. You want to learn more about the benefits of opening up a checking account or a savings account with Hancock Whitney, you can do it. And listen, I've banked with Hancock Whitney for literally as long as I've had a checking account. And I love the new, and they've updated the mobile app recently as well, but the mobile app is effectively your own financial center. It can break down your expenses. It can help you plan. It can help you budget. You can look at investments. It's pretty, and it's I'm kind of a simpleton. It's big, I need a book with pictures. It's like that. Big, easy to use, easy to understand. It's Hancock Whitney. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. My name, M-A-T-T. HancockWhitney.com/Matt to learn more. Hancock Whitney, proud banking partner of LSU Athletics and the New Orleans Saints. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. Final break of the show. We'll come back. Jimmy will be here for Otterlocks. We'll find out what we're betting on tonight. You can get Otterlocks always for free over at LouisianaSports.net, so get them there. Stick around. We'll wrap up next on AFR.
AFR.
Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty, agent225.com, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Y'all, school's back in, and this is one of those important times in the calendar, the real estate market, where you see a little bit of a shift. When kids go back to school, you'll generally see a market shift. So right now, if you've been waiting, this is the time to call Darren James. Remember, working with Darren James obligates you to nothing, and Darren guarantees he'll sell your home. It's the guaranteed sales program, as he calls it. It's this easy. You'll sit down with Darren. You'll work together to decide on a price and a deadline. If Darren doesn't sell your home at that price by that deadline, he'll have your home bought with cash or he'll sell it for free. No questions asked. Go to agent225.com, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
I'm just about to get out of here, and I'm going to Supper Club tonight. Fired up for it. Can have dinner with my buddies over at Boatcock Brothers Premium Cigars. Tell you all the time, it doesn't matter for whatever reason. Maybe you're celebrating a birthday, an anniversary. Maybe it's you're planning your football Friday for the home football games or any football weekend. Make Supper Club part of your weekend. It'll be the most fantastic dining experience you'll ever have. For us, tonight, we're just going as friends, going to go enjoy some dinner tonight. Me and the Bocock brothers going to have a cocktail at the bar and then take our seat, have a dinner night, probably have a great steak. I don't know, maybe I'll go with the Chilean sea bass. You can never go wrong with anything on the menu over at Supper Club. You can book your reservation online at supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com, or maybe you just want to come hang out with us tonight. Come on, we'll be there. You can always walk in. Walk-ins are welcome with seating at the bar. supperclubbtr.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
You. Turn it down. You. Otter, not all the way. Not all the way. You. Otter, what up? I don't hear you.
You hear me?
Hey. What up, man?
Hey, let's get off the snot a little bit. Losing nights on Monday and Tuesdays. Let's get right to it tonight. We're starting off Cleveland. We're off to a good start. Plus 115 at Detroit. Favorable pitching matchup tonight. And the Guardians have won and still batting with a runner and score. 2 outs, 1-0. So the Guardians
2-0.
We haven't two.
Should I look at? I didn't get it. Run line right now is minus $1.29. Should I jump on it?
Minus 1.5.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we're in.
Yankees, have they started?
No.
All right, they're hot. Looking for a sweep tonight in Seattle. The bats are just beyond cold. I mean, they got swept at Tampa Bay, at home against Tampa Bay before they went to the Bronx. Now they lost the first two. Now they do have a little bit of a favorable pitching matchup tonight, but we are just going to continue to fade those cold bats. And that's a modest line at minus 124. Yankees playing good ball right now. So
don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Yankees stink. What are you talking about?
Talking about cold bats. Boston, they have the hottest team in baseball last month and a half, and they have kind of been cold with the bats. We cashed a ticket last night with Toronto. We're taking Toronto at home to sweep the cold bats. Really good pitcher matchup. Suarez for the Bo Sox. Soriano was picked up from the Angels by Toronto. Toronto only 2.5 out of the wild card, making a little noise at home. And we're going to take the Blue Jays, former American League pennant winning team from last year. So Toronto plus 14. And then over Kansas City, Los Angeles, you've kind of been showing a little extra interest with the Kansas City Royals since Bobby Witt Jr.'s come back. But also, since he's come back, Jack Caglianone hitting almost 400 the last 12, 13 games. He's gone yard a bunch of times. The Florida product is really getting into a groove right now. They scored 9 and 11 runs the last two games, and that would have put this one over with this total tonight. and this is a much weaker pitching matchup than the previous two nights with Lynch and Lauer going. So over 9, Kansas City and the Dodgers with the surging Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Caglianone.
We're due. Let's get it tonight. A 4-pack. We're 4-pack. The Guardians in-game if you want it. Get it on the run line, though, in-game. Yankees, Toronto, and the Royals, Dodgers, over 9. That's your 4-pack from the Otter. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at the DraftKings Sportsbook at the brand new Bally's Casino downtown at the Atrium.
All right. Let's go get some winners tonight, man. I'm ready for it.
Yes, indeed. We got day baseball. We got the first round of the FedEx Cup on the PGA Tour. And so we'll have some day action, and Mike Delicano will be joining us on Thursdays now as well.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Otter.
All right, good luck.
All right, man. Same to you. It's after further review. Before we get out of here, I remind you about Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. Tell you every day. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. Jim Woodworth and the gang, they do awesome work. Awesome work, man. It's super easy. They'll come in, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. Dry fog your home in half a day. But also any type of business or commercial building, they do it all. It's Parish Restoration, ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. All right, y'all, just about to get on down the road here. You miss anything? AFR on demand. All right, we're done. Hit it. You're late. Hit it.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, we remind you about First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Remember the word first. Tell you all the time, like Ben McDonald, first pick of the draft, when he bought his land, he used First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Maybe you're a first-time land buyer. Go to FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. They have the ultimate recreational land buying guide right there on the homepage. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. So that's a great spot to do it. Now, maybe you already own land. Of course, you could take some equity in your current property, roll it into your new property. Maybe you're thinking of buying 50 acres to build your family's dream home. Was talking to a friend today, live in Santa Monica. They have a big piece of acreage where 5 family members all have homes on that land. If that's your dream, they can help make it a reality at First South Farm Credit.